Welcome back. A lot of sons go to work with their father growing up as a kid. Some even go on to follow in their father's footsteps, but it's not always easy, especially if your father's business was so successful. That had to be how Joey Meyer felt taking over for his dad, Ray, after 42 years coaching at DePaul. It's never easy, but Joey did it with class for 13 years before leaving the program last week. It is my pleasure to welcome both Coach Ray and Joey Meyer to Sports Page. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I know this hasn't been an easy week for you, huh?
Well, it might be in a little bit of an understatement. Yeah, it's been a little bit difficult, but you know, life goes on, and you know, I'm going to go on, and we'll see what happens.
I know in your press conference you said that you worried about your father, who was up in his office during your press conference. Was that one of the more difficult times for you, having to tell him, break the news to him?
Well, obviously telling the whole family wasn't easy. You know, I called my wife first, and then I called Coach Ray, and I wasn't there to pick him off the floor after I said it, so no, he was fine. I was just teasing. I mean, everybody was a little bit stunned and shocked, but you know, like I say, you know, those things happen. A lot of guys get let go, and you know, life goes on, and you just got to move on. But obviously, it was a little shock to the Meyer family. You know, everybody's saying, oh, he's looking for, I'm not looking for any kind of sympathy or anything else. What people have to understand is, I know there was 24 coaches, I guess, this year. Somebody said 24 coaches that lost their jobs this year. But when you do something for 30 years, you know, it's been in your life since you ever grew up, that's the only thing you know. It's obviously, it means a little bit more to me and to the Meyer family.
Coach Ray, what was your reaction when you found out the news?
If I had false teeth, I'd have dropped them.
Oh.
I was shocked. Be honest with you, pardon me, I never believed it would happen, and I was totally unprepared for it. I was devastated, and I remember getting dressed, and I was eating at the time and running out the house to get to school. And I don't know how I got there. I don't remember where I was driving. I think the car took me.
Oh, I remember you saying before you retired from coaching that you would leave DePaul if Joey ever left DePaul, when he was your assistant. I'm wondering now, do you feel the same way about leaving your position at the school because Joey's not there?
Well, that's crossed my mind many, many times. It's an emotional thing right now. I'm still feeling it, and if I made a decision right now, I'd be gone. But I don't know, and I don't want to make a decision until I make it with my head rather than with my heart and my emotions.
Let me ask you, why did you go into coaching? I mean, was it because you grew up with your entire life, your father was coaching?
I'd like to say I had a grand plan. I was too stupid to have a grand plan. Really, I wanted to get my master's degree when I came out of college, and I was looking up at Northwestern, maybe be a graduate assistant, and Coach said, well, why don't you just do it here? And I said, well, you know, I'll take a chance and take a look at it, and I did. The coach, I lost my first game, you believe that, and then we won 24 straight, and I said, yeah, this is kind of a nice business, and then I coached a fresh soft team. I just got hooked. I mean, I did not plan to be a coach, but once I started, I felt I was good at it, and I enjoyed it, and I just kind of backed into it, really.
We've talked to so many people this week about the memories of the Meyer legacy at DePaul. What is your favorite memory of your father coaching?
How long's this show? This show's not long enough for all those memories. I think the one that probably I would think everybody would pick, it was the UCLA game to go to the Final Four. I don't know. You know, it's just something that always meant so much to be a part of it. You know how much I was, but I know I was contributing to have him have his moment. That was just an unbelievable thrill for me to see him, you know, enjoying what he richly deserved, and you know, especially at the age he was at. You know, everybody 65 put him in the closet and forget about him, and yet at 65 he got bigger than life. And it was just, and if I had one moment, I would see in him and his face and everything after we got to the Final Four.
That would be it. Coach Ray, I said earlier that so many fathers bring their sons to work with them, and when you're a coach, it's natural. You know, you have a gym for them to play in while you're coaching. How did you feel when Joey decided he wanted to be a coach? Were you proud of that, or were you worried about that?
I was really worried.
Were you?
I'd have never put him in as an assistant out there while he was getting his master's degree if I thought he was going to go in coaching, because I thought he was too intelligent for that.
Well, now you guys may have to have a little talk now about that.
Well, that's all gone now. We didn't take the IQ test before, so I've been telling my son the same thing, so I guess father to son to son.
Well, wait, now that's what I wanted to ask you. Everyone is saying the Meyer legacy is over now, maybe at DePaul, but you are going to coach again, and does your son show signs that he wants to coach?
I don't know. If you ask him this week, I think he'd probably say no. I don't think there's any doubt he'd probably say no. I'd like to say the same thing. I think my son's too intelligent. I'd probably whack him in the head if he ever said he was going into coaching, because the young guy's, he's got his mother's brain, so he's got, and please, I apologize to him right now. He's not the little guy. He's a sophomore in high school, and he's been all over my case.
Because in the press conference when you
he's little
referred
to
the
me,
little
but
guy.
obviously he's not little. So I apologize, Brian. You're not little. You're a sophomore. So
He's still little.
Oh, well, you know what? Some of these guys felt like they were little guys when we approached them this week to reminisce about their memories of the Meyer years. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more. But first, let's hear from some of them.
He used to tell me that he could drop kick a basketball in the rim better than I could shoot it, and I didn't think that was funny then, but as I grew older and more mature, I find that pretty hilarious that he would say things like that. But I realized that those were ways of him motivating me to become a better player.
Hi, Steve Dolinsky here in beautiful Thailand, inviting you to watch CLTV for an incredible tour of this exotic country. We'll search out elaborate costumes and festive celebrations, even take a peek into the private religion of Buddhism, find out what gives Thai food its unique taste, learn how a floating food market works. We've even found a Thai connection to Chicago. Join us Saturday, May 10th at 5:30 for Thailand, the exotic kingdom, right here on CLTV.
X marks the spot for Howard Orloff Jaguar. From the bloodlines of the XKE comes the all-new Jaguar XK8. Plus, see the cat that has everybody's tongue, the sleeker, longer 1997 XJ6 with all-new Jaguar incentive pricing that makes this year's new 1997 more affordable than a 96. Visit Howard Orloff Jaguar. X marks the spot. Armitage and the Kennedy.
It's a game with unmatched history.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Filled with great players and great moments. Now, Sports Illustrated brings you SI's exclusive classic baseball collection. You'll get the extraordinary 2-video box set, The History of Baseball, and the classic baseball cap of your choice, both free with your paid subscription to SI. Choose your cap from any of 4 historic teams. The Brooklyn Dodgers of 1955, the 1951 New York Giants, the 1975 Boston Red Sox, or the legendary New York Yankees. Call now and get SI's classic baseball collection free when you order 54 issues of SI for only $1.48 an issue. Save over 55% off the cover price. Use your credit card. Don't miss out on the classic baseball collection from Sports Illustrated. Get into it.
Believe it or not, it was April 17th, 1942, when a young 28-year-old former high school basketball star out of Chicago and former captain of Notre Dame's team as well, and assistant coach, decided that DePaul University was where he was going to begin his head coaching career. Ray Meyer, 1942?
That's right.
28 years old is when you started.
Well, I started.
And you just told me that you didn't really want to be a coach.
No, I didn't. I argued with Coach Keegan, who was my coach at Notre Dame for quite a while, but I was out of work and I was scouting for him, and I scouted Northwestern, Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa for him, and he always kept telling me, "You got a great mind for basketball. You should coach." I said, "I don't want to coach." So one day he called me and he said, "I made an appointment with you, Catholic High in Joliet. You should go out there and talk to us. I said, I don't want to go. He says, go ahead. I made an appointment. You got to go. So I went out there and talk about time. They offered me $1,700 to coach, and I said, no, I need 18. And they said, no, they wouldn't pay me. So I went home. It was a Sunday afternoon. About 8 o'clock Sunday night, the president of Notre Dame called me and asked me to come down coach at Notre Dame because Keegan had a heart attack.
Oh, my goodness.
So I got into coaching that way.
Isn't that amazing? Right through that. I wonder what school that was in Catholic High, Joe.
Before my time, I can't deal with those things.
I'm just thinking that I wonder if they still have the opening over there.
Wait a minute, you must understand though. It was several years later I went out to recruit Dave Mills, who played for it, the 6'10" kid. He was in softball in high school. And they asked me to go in and eat with all the priests. So I sat down, we're eating lunch there, and one of the priests comes over, and I want to introduce you to so-and-so who didn't think you were worth $100. The same priest that was 10 years, 20 years later.
Oh, my goodness. That is beautiful. Let's go out to the phone lines. I know we have a couple of phone calls for our guests tonight, and we begin in Park Ridge. Hi, Bob.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Great.
Hey, Joey, I got to tell you, I think you've been too nice the past week, but that's just my opinion. Listening to fans call up that maybe know what they're talking about, maybe not. In my opinion, two of the best 4 teams in the modern era have been under you, or were under you, when Strickland and Edwards were seniors, both going in the first round in the NBA draft, and then when Booth and Howard... that year, you guys were 5-0 against top 20 teams until Price and Booth got hurt. So, you know, I think your credentials are there, and good luck. That's all I want to tell you. Head season tickets, 22 years. I'm not giving up yet, but need some changes.
Thanks, Bob. We appreciate the phone call. Ray, Joe, I should say, I had mentioned in the opening that people referred to DePaul basketball as the mom and pop store. You know, the father passes it down to his son. And I read a quote where they said, just like the mom and pop stores are going out of business, they can't compete with the big, conglomerates, that your job also was going out of business. Do you agree with that you were unable to keep up with the changes that were going on around you?
What, I start in 42 or what? I'm only 48 now. I haven't been into that long. No, I don't agree with that at all. Obviously, I felt that we had a great group of young guys coming back, and we had signed 4 guys. I think we're going to have an excellent year. And I kind of relate it to Coach, and when we talked about it before, when Coach had a couple bad years, and unfortunately the starting guard was me, so I relate very well to it.
Yeah, what was that, in 71?
Yes, 71.
I'm sorry.
We don't want to go back that far, but if you believe in somebody, you stick with them. But obviously, Coach had that opportunity, and it worked wonders for him. So, but times change, things change. Obviously, I feel very confident that I would have got this program back to where it was, but some other people didn't. So, life goes on, and I've got too much in me to sit around and be bitter and worry about what other people think or what other people say. The one thing that I do want to mention is I just want to say thanks to all the people who have written and called. I've been kind of amazed by it. I've been just the number of calls we've received at home, and number of letters has just been great. And it really does help you get through some tough times, but not just the magnitude. Some of the people kind of surprised me who they are that call, but just the friends and people from across the country. So it's obviously made this week a lot nicer. So, and I am going to get back to everybody. It may take me. I don't write as nice of letters as Coach does. Coach gets somebody, he writes these long 3-page notes. I don't have the skill level that he does, but I am going to get back.
When we come back, maybe we'll find out some of those big names that have been calling Coach Joe this past week. But before we do that, let's hear from another former DePaul basketball player.
When I hear the Meyers and DePaul, I think of tradition. I think of a father and son relationship. I think of probably mainly the first reason why I chose DePaul was probably due to the Meyer name, and due to father and son tradition. Me coming in on my scholarship. That was one of the things that I thought meant security and tradition, and it stood on its own 2 feet, and that's one of the reasons why I chose DePaul.
In today's business world, information is crucial, and CLTV's Making Money provides the essential facts you need. In cooperation with the Chicago Tribune, Making Money gives you an exclusive look at Chicagoland business. From market trends to consumer advice, making money is your key to financial success. Watch CLTV's Making Money, Friday nights at 8. Sponsored by Nextel and First Star.
Sims customers prefer top American designers, like me.
They're at it again, Dad.
Again?
I am the latest look from a famous Italian designer. They go nuts for me.
But I am the biggest name from France. Educated consumers like many designers and brands, as long as they recognize the names.
That's why Sims has more names you must know than any off-price store in America.
At Sims, the labels speak for themselves.
It's outstanding.
Sims in Niles, Addison, and in the Gurney Mills Mall.
Beck, 80% of home break-ins happen through doors. A distinctive and elegant custom-made security storm door from Family Security Door and Window can spoil a burglar's day. At Family Security Door and Window, you'll also enjoy the benefits of factory direct pricing, quality service, and fast delivery. Call the pros at Family Security Door and Window for a free in-home estimate. Evening and weekend appointments are available. Protect, decorate, and insulate. Call Family Security Door and Window at 773-238-4088 or stop by our showroom at 10243 Southwestern Avenue.
I am Dr. Lawrence Levine, Medical Director of the Medical Control Center. Over 20 million men are troubled with impotence. Many are too embarrassed to seek medical attention and avoid intimacy to hide the problem. Impotence is always a symptom of an underlying medical condition, which we can diagnose and treat quickly, confidentially, and affordably. Call the Medical Control Center at 708-614-7070 for a free initial consultation. That's 708-614-7070.
It's a touch of class we're not used to here on Sports Page, having both Coach Ray Meyer and Joe joining us tonight. Before we continue our conversation, though, we're going to check in at the news desk with Greg Prather and find out what's coming up after the show. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Peggy. Coming up on CLTV News, Archbishop Francis George is back in the Windy City, this time for good. The arrival marks the beginning of a month-long installation process as George becomes head of the Chicago Archdiocese. New details are emerging about the death of wealthy Chicago real estate developer Lee Miglin, and hearings get underway in Springfield as a House committee considers whether to impeach Supreme Court Justice James Heupel. We'll have more on these and other stories following Sports Page. For now, I'm Greg Prather. Peggy, let's send it back to you.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. We're joined tonight by Coach Joe Meyer and, of course, his father, the legendary Ray Meyer. And before we left, I had said that maybe we could squeeze a couple of the names out of Coach Joe, who called him this week. And he said he was just overwhelmed with the phone calls he was getting. And to save him actually any embarrassment, and I do understand he is such a humble person, he really doesn't want to brag about the big names that did contact him.
Made me look worse.
But no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I totally understand it that he doesn't want to sit here and brag. But let me tell you, it was very impressive, and everyone has expressed their feelings this week. Let's go out to Highland Park, where Mel is up next. Hi, Mel. Mel.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. How are you all?
Great.
I'd just like to make a few comments, and then I'd like to ask Joey and Ray a question.
Okay.
First of all, I think the Meyer family has been a marvelous, marvelous contribution to Chicago and to DePaul. I think the wrong person got fired. I think that they should have fired Bradshaw and Doyle. That's my opinion.
Okay, what's your question?
My question is, Joey, who's the best player you ever coached? And Ray, who's the best player you ever coached?
Well, Coach, you had the longer span. I might as well go first to give you more time to think about it. Oh, wow. I think probably the most talented player I coached, as a head coach in my 13 years probably was Rod Strickland. A couple of my favorites were Kevin Edwards and Ty Corbin and like Terry Davis, and all those guys were great players, but Rod had just that little bit extra as a player.
Well, Mel, thanks for all your nice comments, but as far as I'm concerned, you'd have to go in eras, because the players of yesteryear don't compare with the players are playing today. George Mikan was the first and player of the first half century. For about 20 years, he was probably the best one I coached. Then I had Emmett Bryant, who played with the Celtics when they won that. They had Jimmy Lampkin, Howie Carroll. I had some good players on there. I always thought that the players make the coach. I have a pet saying, you can't have a circus without the animals. I was a great coach when we had talent with Mark Aguirre, Dave Corzine, Terry Cummings. I had a lot of them there. If I could mention them all, we'd be off the air, it would be over with. But
Coach, let me ask you a question. You mentioned Dave Corzine. I heard a little story that that team, the teams that Dave Corzine was on, used to pass out towels after the games. And when you guys lost the game, all the players would grab the towels real tight so that they could bite on them so they wouldn't laugh when you were ready to explode after a game and yell at them. And then Dave Corzine would sit in front. His shoulders would go up and down because he'd be trying not to laugh so hard, but he would block all the guys behind him who were actually laughing after a loss. Did you know that they were doing that?
No, I didn't. If I'd have known it, that'd have been a lot more tough over there.
But they did it affectionately, they said.
Oh, well, that's all right. Hey, listen, I used to come in and sometimes the players would be mimicking me. It was fun. Some of them did a real good job. Well, listen, if you coach long enough, you have to have a sense of humor.
You're absolutely right. Let's go back out to the city of Chicago. Pete, you're up next. Hi, Pete.
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to thank the coaches for the memories and contributions they made to DePaul. And I also heard a rumor of a replacement who's also in the family. He's a high school coach from the Yorkville area. I was wondering if there's any truth to that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Obviously,
it's a high school coach in the Yorkville area. I believe he could carry on the family tradition. Coach, could you...
Oh.
Gotta be Johnny Butterfield.
John Butterfield.
John Butterfield.
Oh, the grandson and the nephew.
You see how sharp we are out here.
Yeah,
we're real
everyone's
quick
sitting
out
there.
here. Boy. I couldn't think that one.
So you have your grandson and your nephew. Is he coaching right now?
He didn't listen to either one of us either, so nobody listens to us anymore. I don't know what we got any power anymore. Nobody listens. He's in coaching. No, he's not ready for the job yet, even though he thinks he is. Give him some time. Let him earn his spurs down there in high school ranks.
Let's take a break here on the show. When we come back, more of our conversation with Ray and Joe Meyer. Stay with us, everybody.
One thing I'll always remember that meant a lot to me is my father died right near Christmas of 1995, and I had not spoken to Coach or Joey in some time, but they were both at the wake, and it meant a lot to me. And you know, it's a very, very classy thing, and you know, I think it's been a classy organization through the years with people like them.
Every American Standard air conditioner must endure literally hundreds of inspections before being permitted to leave the factory. And if any little thing is less than perfect, well, we have ways of dealing with troublemakers. Built to a higher standard, American Standard.
For the name of your nearest American Standard dealer, see our ad in the coupon insert of your Northern Illinois gas bill or call 1-800-339-0100.
For all of your bathroom remodeling needs, shop Max Gerber. Located just minutes off the Kennedy Expressway, Max Gerber's 8,000 square foot showroom has the quality plumbing products you need to remodel your bathroom, all at deep discounts. There's a large selection of whirlpools and tubs, vanities and sinks, shower heads and faucets, and an expert staff to answer any question. Max Gerber has everything, including the kitchen sink. For the quality plumbing products you need, shop Max Gerber.
Get a head start on your home improvement projects with the Handyman Show on CLTV. Learn how to fix it and fix it fast. And get the tips and tricks you need to make those do-it-yourself jobs easy and affordable. Watch the Handyman Show Saturday mornings at 11:30, followed by Around Chicagoland at noon. And your local news weekend edition at 1, right here on CLTV.
One of the things I probably remember the most is not till recently, till my son came back from basketball camp from Coach Ray's in Three Lakes, Wisconsin, and we were sitting down having dinner, and he goes, "Dad, I didn't know you burnt camp down." And I didn't know what he was really talking about, but back when I was going to be a freshman in college, his son and we were loading this pop machine, and I started thinking about this, and Coach, if I burnt camp down, I apologize. But this is the first time I realized that maybe your son and I did burn camp down, because I don't know if we put enough water in the Coca-Cola machine. But other than that, we didn't really mean to. We meant to fill the Coke machine up. But again, if we did do it, we sincerely apologize, Coach.
met him outside here.
Well, let me tell us about your camp. That is still going strong, Ray Meyer's basketball camp. When is it?
I just started it. This is my 50th year.
Yeah, right. You just started it.
Well, I start June 23rd again.
Oh, great.
If you like basketball, you love camp.
And as Randy said, it's in, up north where it's
Three Lakes,
beautiful.
Wisconsin.
You see the stars every night, and you can't learn basketball from a better coach than Ray Meyer. What is the phone number that people can call if they're interested?
773-325-7520.
Got it. So if you're interested in the Ray Meyer basketball camp, as many, many people who have gone through that camp and gone on to play from, Randy Ramsey was one of them. You could be just as lucky, or your kids as well. There's the phone number, 773-325-7520. Let's continue on the phone lines. In Palos Heights we go. Hi, Dave. You're up next with the Meyers.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight?
Great.
I got a question for you. Joey, has anybody approached you, or been any offers? Because I know there's a lot of vacancies in college basketball right now. Is there anything on the horizon for you? Have there been any calls?
Are there any vacancies right now? Or have they all been
Unfortunately,
filled?
I wish your first statement was true, but right at this time, there's really no vacancy open right now. So unless something changes very quickly and some guys change jobs, I don't know what, I'd probably be out of coaching for a year. I don't think there's any opportunity for me to get in coaching. So I'll be honest with you folks, I'm after Peggy's job. So next year at this time, you can forget Peggy. It's going to be the Joey Meyer show next time.
Well, wait, there's a job opening up tomorrow at Kentucky.
Right, that's what I was going to call. Would you, are you going to think that Rick Pitino will go to the Celtics do that, or what?
I don't know
Coach
if
Ray just said they don't pay enough.
I don't know if I'm in a position to get the Kentucky job right now. I don't know if my credentials right now would be in a position to get that job right now.
So do you think he's going to go?
From all I read, I'll tell you this now. If you're going to offer me $70 million for the next 7 years and 3% of the organization, I think that says enough. I know where I'd be next year. I know where a lot of people would be next year. That's an awful lot of money to turn down.
Well, you said that you probably will be out of basketball for a year, coaching, that is. Is it a possibility that you'll be scouting or doing anything like that for the next year?
Well, I really haven't eliminated anything. I'm jobless right now. I'm auditioning right now. Peg, you don't understand this. I'm trying. Anybody? No. Seriously. I obviously my first goal would be back. Love to be back, Division I head coach. I think I can do a good job. I'm confident, and I just hope I get another opportunity. If not, I'd love to do color on games and broadcasting, get involved in TV and radio in some way, or maybe an NBA assistant. I really don't know. It's only been 1 week. I haven't had a lot of time to. But I've thought about what I want to do a lot, and so now I'm just going to look and see what opportunities are out there. And as I say, I've gotten a lot of calls and I've talked to a lot of people, so I'm optimistic, and I'm kind of excited about it. You got to move on, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Some people wonder if you never would have left DePaul if they hadn't asked you to resign, shall we say. Is that true? Would you have left on your own powers at some time?
The famous coach line, never say never. Not Coach Ray's, but all coaches say never, if the right offers. I had always envisioned, and I tell people this, and this sounds kind of corny, but the reality is I always wanted to be able to go to the Final Four and walk across the floor and shake Coach's hand and say, we did it again. And it's kind of like, you have a dream in life. That was always kind of my dream, and unfortunately it's not going to be there. But I would have thought that I would have retired at DePaul. I mean, that was kind of what my goal or my ideas were, but that's not going to happen. So, as I say, life moves on. In a couple of weeks, this will all be forgotten, and well, they won't forget this elderly gentleman on my right now. I can say elderly, I think.
No. Al McGuire says I was there when they put up the peach basket. That's not true.
A couple years later, right, Coach?
Let's go on to Oak Park. Greg, you're up next on the show. Hi, Greg.
Hi. I just want to say to first Ray, I'm first started watching college basketball back in the late 70s, and thank you for all the wonderful memories and coaching. And Joey, I went to UIC. And even though I was a big UIC Flames fan, I still remained a loyal DePaul fan because of you and your style and the type of basketball that you had. And even though the last couple of years were bad, I always tuned into the WGN radio to listen to your games, and I always rooted for you. And I want to commend you on taking some tough stance with some players and making them stay in school and do their schoolwork first, and then worry about basketball. And I also want to say too that I think the program was a class act, and Joey and Ray, it's because of you. But my second question is where do you go from here, Joey? I mean, would you ever consider coaching in the pros, or would you rather stay with college? And I just wish you all the best. And you know, I just think that you guys were just two model men, not only for basketball but for all of young men to look up to as of what it means to be a good Catholic and a good role model for the community to see. And just thank you very much for all the inspiration and all the wonderful memories that I always have deep in my heart to share.
Thanks, Greg. Let me give Joey an opportunity here to answer that. What about I know you said you're not putting anything out, but as an assistant coach in the NBA?
So I say I'm open to anything right now. I love basketball. I love teaching basketball. I love being a part of basketball, and obviously I'd like to be a Division I head coach again. I'm not ruling out being an NBA assistant. I really never was great at a new word I learned this week, networking. I never was great at networking. I know some people in the NBA, but I don't know if there's any kind of opportunity for me there. But obviously that would be something that I would look into. Right now, I'm just trying to keep all the options open.
Well, I'll tell you something with networking, and this I have learned from college basketball coaches. It's on the golf course. This summer, I know you always make fun of your golf game, and your wife is a better golfer than you, but this is the time when you get to network, and that's with all the other coaches, is they love to do it on the golf course.
So that's one of my goals this year. I figured I got a little more time. I want to be, I hate to admit this, a 90s golfer. I want to get in shape, be a 90s golfer, and I want to know what the heck is that all about, those computer things that I don't know anything about. So I got 3 minor goals or major goals this year. So maybe while I'm learning how to play, anybody out there wants to help me out a little bit, I'd appreciate it.
Let's take a break here on Sports Page. We'll continue our conversation with Joe and Ray Meyer. Stay with us.
Independence and mobility. That's what the Sam Hall Starlight gives you at a price you can afford. Just listen to the results.
The rollator has given me almost a new lease on life.
It's been a real friend indeed.
I can walk again.
These special features will keep you on the go. Select from 3 different colors and many other models. Call First Choice Home Supply at 1-800-594-8237. Don't you deserve a Sam Hall Starlight? A high-quality rollator at an affordable price.
Some things have to wait years before they can be rightly called classics, but not the new Orino Classic series of bait casting reels by South Bend. These superb reels are setting a new standard in traditional bait casting by giving you features you've been looking for. Perfect for both fresh and saltwater game fish, the Orino Classic reels are designed for both performance, beauty, and reliability. So check out the Orino Classic series of bait fishing reels by South Bend.
The latest news. You want the story, and CLTV gives you full details anytime, 24 hours a day. No other local TV station provides more continuous coverage. See every development. Stay informed. Live on CLTV. It's your source for timely news all over Chicagoland. From special announcements to sports coverage to weather watches and warnings, one place has your needs in mind. So depend on CLTV. Continuous coverage 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Sports Page. Before we had left, our last caller, Greg in Oak Park, had made a comment about Joey being able to persevere through some rough times, some academic ineligibility, some recruiting troubles, injuries, not to mention the least of which they did have at DePaul. And Joey, I did want to ask you, do you feel that the academic problems that some of your athletes were having, that you were recruiting players that could succeed at DePaul? There's some debate that they were players that would not be able to succeed at DePaul academically in the first place.
I don't want to get into all that. There's going to be he said, she said. Obviously, I wouldn't have brought them in if I didn't think they were going to make it academically. So, people, your critics are going to say a lot of things, and I'm not really going to worry about that. I feel very comfortable that I brought in the type of players that could succeed academically at DePaul, and unfortunately, a couple of them didn't succeed. And as I say, life goes on, and I'm not going to get into all those kind of debates. I don't think it's worth it for me. I don't think it's worth it for the university, and I hope they're not saying anything about that. And I'm not going to say anything about it.
Fair enough. Let's go out to Westchester. John, you're up next with Joe and Ray Meyer.
Hi, guys. I'd just like to preface my comments by saying that I've been a Notre Dame fan since I was a little kid. Ray, you should know a little bit about that, being a captain there. But when I was growing up, I hated DePaul, always hated DePaul. But over the years, I came to respect DePaul because of you two guys. Specifically, even you, Joey. I really believe. Well, Ray
Well, your
gets
shadow
all
is pretty big. I'm going to move over just a little bit.
Ray gets all the credit, but Joey, you've done a fine job. I got one quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any animosity towards people like a Landon Cox who, God forbid you run a program where people have to get an education along with playing basketball? I just wonder if you had any animosity towards them, and I hope you get a job in the future. One other quick question. Bradshaw, are you upset with him, too?
You know what, John? We're not going to get into, saying things back and forth about the university and things like that.
You know what? That's not really the question. I'm just wondering if he's upset that they waited so long. It closed a lot of job openings.
Okay, fair enough. Let's ask, first of all, if you felt any animosity toward the public school coaches that seemed to boycott DePaul a couple years ago.
Well, I think, one, we had better relationship with the publicly coaching people realized, but obviously there were a couple vocal coaches like Landon who didn't think. And the whole thing of Teddy Grubbs was a joke. I mean, in a sense, people should have come to DePaul for what we did for that young man and what we continue to do for that young man. And to think Ray and Joey Meyer getting blamed for Teddy Grubbs is a travesty, really. And Landon never really took the time to find that out. But again, that's water over the dam, and obviously I'm not real happy with the things he did and said about DePaul when I didn't think he really took the time to find out what it was really about. But that's behind. I'm not recruiting for DePaul anymore, and I'm not, as I say, I think I had a lot better relationship with the public league than people realize, and there's some good friends of mine in the public league, and I'll leave it at that.
And I think also, John, your comments about the timing of Joey's dismissal, I think there's probably unanimous across the board that it could have come earlier to give him an opportunity maybe to get some of the jobs that were open at the time. Let's take a break here on Sports Page. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. Stay with us.
Plymouth Voyager is a Consumer's Digest Best Buy. So we're celebrating by giving you air conditioning, 7-passenger seating, and a very nice door prize. So for no extra charge, you'll get the 4th door on any Plymouth minivan. That's up to $18.45 in package values and savings. Even with all of that, Plymouth Voyager is still this low price. So hurry in and claim your Plymouth Voyager door prize.
Whenever there's a it says hello. Whenever there's a touch, a handshake will follow. Whenever there's a it's laughing at you. Whenever there's it's a groove that we do. With the twist of the cape or the pop off the top. It's the language we speak. It's the best that won't stop. Always Coca-Cola.
Are you hungry? Yeah. How about something different?
I hear they have pitas at Wendy's. I'm hungry. Yeah, me too. Let's go to Wendy's and try the pitas.
In case you haven't heard, Wendy's has fresh stuffed pitas, like our Garden Ranch chicken with big tender chunks, chicken Caesar with shredded Parmesan, classic Greek with feta cheese, and our delicious veggies.
Where should we eat? I don't know.
They have pitas at Wendy's.
Thanks, Dave.
It's everything you love, stuffed in a big, warm, soft pita.
We're selling lots of pitas, Dave.
Word gets around.
Come on in and try one today.
They can send you backpacking to some remote lake in the Canadian Rockies. Designing these CD-ROM trail guides was their senior class project at DeVry.
At DeVry, we learned how to make technology work in really exciting ways.
Now it's their own company, Adventures Design Mode, Inc. With a DeVry degree, you can go wherever you want to go.
DeVry helped us create our own path to success.
For a higher degree of success, call DeVry, 1-800-247-7800.
In the midst of a disaster, it's comforting to know there is a friend you can always count on. The Salvation Army, making a difference for life.
We'll give the Meyers a break for a moment here as we check in with Fred Mitchell from the Chicago Tribune, as we do every Monday evening. Fred from the Odds and Ends column, nice of you to join us again.
Good evening, Peggy.
Fred, I know that as many years as you've been in Chicago covering sports, you had to have run across either of these two guys throughout your career.
I certainly had. Both Joey and Ray are class individuals, and I'm sure Joey will land on his feet and be a big plus for whatever school is lucky enough to get him.
And you said that you were covering high school when they were recruiting Isaiah Thomas?
Yeah, no, we're going back a few years there, but Ray was a head coach at the time. Joey was out recruiting with some of the other assistants, and I recall fondly the days when everyone was after Isaiah, of course, and Isaiah gave serious consideration to DePaul. And I think both Ray and Joey are responsible for putting DePaul on the map as a basketball power, and giving top players like that an opportunity to consider them.
All right, speaking of Isaiah Thomas, the NBA, the Bulls have the first game now with Atlanta coming up tomorrow night. How do you see this?
Well, it looks like a tough series brewing. You know, if you're asking me for a prediction, I would say probably the Bulls in 5. Perhaps Atlanta taking a game in Atlanta. The pressure will be on the Bulls at the start, I figure, for them to sort of hold serve and win the 2 home games on Tuesday and Thursday before going into Atlanta. I do see, you know, some key matchups. I think the Christian Laettner, Dennis Rodman matchup at forward will be one of interesting focus. Laettner scored 37 points with Rodman guarding him on the day after Christmas this regular season. So I think that's going to be very important to see how that works out.
All right, you were talking about pressure. What about pressure from these rookies at the Bears minicamp over the weekend? I understand that they had quite a bit thrown at them, and it was a bit overwhelming for guys like Rick Meyer, the quarterback.
Yeah, it's a pretty daunting task to ask not only young players but new free agents such as Rick Meyer to step in and take command with great confidence of an offense. The Bears, have no pretense that somebody can just come in and take over immediately. Hopefully we won't be hearing the same type of dialogue once we get to Platteville and the start of the regular season. I don't personally think that we've heard the last of Eric Kramer. If he stays healthy, I think he's going to be quite competitive as far as the starting job is concerned.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Talking about competitive, what's going on with the White Sox on the South Side? They actually won a series, and the Cubs we don't need to mention, but what's going on with the Sox?
Well, I was out there yesterday, Peggy, and saw the Sox win a game against the Angels, albeit not very pretty. They committed 3 errors. They're making some blunders that you don't want to see from a championship ball club. They realize that. I think what's going to have to happen, and it's starting to happen already, is that they have to get some contributions from other people besides Albert Bell and Frank Thomas. There's been so much emphasis and talk about those two carrying the ball club, but they've got to continue to get the good pitching, and they've got to get the timely hitting from people like Durham and Martinez and Lyle Mouton, people like that. Then they have to stay focused as a team and keep some kind of harmony. Somebody's got to step up, some of the veteran players, I think, to create some team leadership, keep the locker room close, and keep the guys in line during this really tough period of the season for them.
Okay, Fred, I know you have some odds and ends for us, as you always do every Monday. Give us a sample of a few.
Well, first of all, I'd like to add my congratulations to a colleague, Jerome Holtzman, who won a prestigious Red Smith Award for his writing and long-time coverage of sports journalism. And I think that's a very prestigious company that he's joined. People like Jim Murray of the LA Times is a past recipient there. Also, upcoming events, Peggy, the Better Boys Foundation's Mackey Awards dinner is June 22nd. Will be held at the McCormick Place South, and that's always a great event, and top NFL players are awarded the top awards in the league, and that's coming up in June. Also, this week on Thursday at the Michael Jordan Golf Center in Aurora, in order to sort of introduce the sport to more people, the facility is available for free on this Thursday from, I believe it's 5 o'clock in the evening to 9. So if you want to golf, and from miniature golf to the practice range or whatever, get out to Aurora on Thursday.
I think I would like to do that. Am I able to go do that, or is it only for kids?
No, it's for everybody, and I know I could use the help, so I'd like to get out there if I could.
Me as well. Thank you very much, Fred, once again for joining us this Monday night, I should say. We'll see you next week.
Okay, take care, Peggy.
Thank you again, Fred. It's back to the Bulls and the sports pages of tomorrow's Chicago Tribune. An extensive look at the next team to try and knock off the world champions. Terry Armour writes about a possible rivalry potential with the Hawks, plus a position-by-position matchup, and a feature on Atlanta's big man, Dikembe Mutombo. Those stories, plus Paul Sullivan's take on the Cubs and the curse of the GOAT. Again, That is all in Tuesday's Chicago Tribune. Earlier this evening, we asked you to call in and vote on our phone poll, and that is whether or not Jerry Reinsdorf should offer Phil Jackson a contract extension right now. Sign him now before the playoffs finish. And overwhelmingly, 80% of you say yes, 10% say no. That must mean the other 10% are undecided at this point as to whether or not, but 80% agree that Jerry Reinsdorf should hush all the talk right now and sign Phil Jackson to a contract. Boy, we are almost out of time here, and it's kind of nice to hear about someone else talking about their contracts and their coaching problems for a change, isn't it, Joe?
I've had a little conversation about coaching contracts and problems in the last week, but that's all behind me now. I've got another thing to talk about.
Let me ask you, in the week that you've been able to look back and reflect, what do you walk away with?
Emotional and all that kind of stuff. You know, as I say, I feel comfortable, and I like to tell my players every night, if you can look in the mirror and you know you did your best job, you should feel good about yourself. When I looked in the mirror Monday night, I felt I did a good job, and I feel comfortable with myself.
Ray, I know this hasn't been easy for you all week either, but it has been absolutely a joy to be able to look back at the last 55 years and hear some of the stories about you. When look at these video clips and you see when you were a young man, but everyone says you look better today than you did sometimes 50 years ago. And unfortunately, it's unfortunate we had to bring you up here on these circumstances, but it's been a heck of a run.
You get better with age. We always talk about ball players. They were all All-Americans 20 years after they played. Everybody gets better.
So you get better with age as well?
Oh, sure.
So my coaching career is going to be better, Coach? Everybody out there, my coaching career is getting better 10 years from now.
I guarantee you it will be better.
Sounds good to me.
You'll go to some place and you'll win.
Well, I want to be able to thank both of these gentlemen so much. Coach Ray, thank you so much. It's always a joy to see you. Thank you very much. And you do look good. You look good and healthy.
There are 3 stages in life: youth, adult, and you look good. I'm in the last stage.
Oh, and I fell right into that. Joe, again, I want to thank you. I know this hasn't been easy, but thank you so much. I really do wish you the very best of luck.
Appreciate it.
And before we go, I have to share my Coach Ray Meyer's story with you, and that is when I was 10 years old, I met Coach Ray for the first time at a DePaul men's game. He looked at me. I was all nervous when I met him, and he looked and he said, "Kid, do you play basketball?" I said, "Yes, Coach, I do." He looked at me and he said, "Don't." And with those words, we leave you tonight. 55 years of a legacy is over at DePaul. CLTV News continues for the Meyers and myself. Have a great night, everybody. Good night.
Saturday